Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to my sci-fi build series. Now in today's showcase, I'm going to show you over 10 sci-fi artillery weapons that you can build to protect your futuristic bases. Because when it comes to science, offense is the best defense. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you what you can do if you combine your artillery with the robots that I showcased last time. Let's get to it, shall we? First up, we have the Banshee. Now, the Banshee is the second smallest artillery gun that I'm going to be showing you today. It has 4 beautiful legs that go up to this central circular area so the gun can rotate left and right. We have a little hinge at the back here so we can go up and down as well, so we get full range of movement. A little area here for our gunner, and then we have our sights, some nice rifling, and then we have these 2 large rifle barrels sticking out the front, with again a little chamber on the side there for cooling. We have caution tape around this circle so people know that it definitely does turn around because we have had problems over at 𝗏𝗏𝗏 with zombies losing their heads. And next up, we have the Banshee's big brother, the Hellcat. Now, for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you may recognize the Hellcat as the gun that's on top of the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗢𝗢 that I built for the We Build for Scar event that I took part in a few weeks ago. So we have this extremely long rifling barrel on the side, and this comes straight down to our 2 rifle barrels at the front there. But at the back, we have our little gunner station and then a counterweight to counterweight all of the weight that's at the front of the gun. A balanced gun is definitely something that is important in my research of guns. Being English, I don't really know them that well. And then we have our turning circle here. So this little rubberized section here where we're using blackstone to look like a rubber part. And then we have our caution tape. So, you know, again, robots know that don't walk under this, it's probably going to lop your head off. And then underneath we have these nice pneumatic sections. I kind of either picture these as either being some sort of like cushioning for when the gun fires, or as some sort of lifting mechanism to raise and lower the gun itself so it can go higher and lower. And then we have these little sections here, so these feet are where it would be grounded, sort of bolted down into the ground or platform that it sits on. And that is the Banshee's big brother, the Hellcat. At number 3, we have the Redeemer. Now, for those of you that have been on my channel for a long time, you would know that I love pirates, and in fact it's something that I studied whilst I was in college. So I really wanted to make a futuristic sci-fi cannon that could go on the side of some sort of ship. So we have our barrel at the front, we have some nice rifling, barricade at the bottom made out of some sort of like pressed steel, and then at the back we have our seating area as well as our sights looking forward so we know where we're shooting this cannon because it is a big old thing. I kind of imagine that this shoots sort of like plasma balls, almost like Ryu's Hadouken from Street Fighter, so it'd be able to like fire small ones relatively quick or build up a large sphere at the front and blast that forwards. And that is the Redeemer. Next up, we have the large Gatling gun known as the Conqueror. So yes, the Conqueror has a large Gatling gun at the front. As you can see, it sticks out, this big rotary gun at the front, so this would spin around and decimate any sort of tanks or anything like that that's coming to impede you. And then on the sides, we have 2 rifles that can fire independently from the large rotary Gatling gun. We have this clamshell design, the trademark N-Tech clamshell. And then on the sides, we have these large plates. So these are plates similar to what you get on tanks to stop missile damage and stuff. So it's protecting all of the gubbins underneath here, which is a term for mostly just mechanical parts. So we have all of these mechanical pieces underneath here and where the gun gets attached. And these are to defend the delicate areas of the Conqueror. Again, the Conqueror has this nice little caution tape area to signify that this can turn left and right, as well as having an up and down motion. We have counterweights at the back to make sure that we offset the very front, and this little dome bit, as well as offering protection to all of the machine parts, also allows this computerized area to focus in on its target. So this is an extremely high-tech Gatling gun At the bottom of the Conqueror, we have these extremely large feet, so it can be grounded onto whatever the platform is that it needs to sit on, because it's important that this thing doesn't go flying back when it has its inevitable recoil from all of these guns on the front. And that is the Majestic Conqueror. Next up at number 5, I have the first of my railguns, the Thunderhead. Now, the Thunderhead is an energy railgun, so we have this large sort of semi-see-through barrel at the front where it builds up its energy and fires, 2 large batteries at the back of the device, and it's sat, rather than being grounded, on 4 legs, so it can actually be moved around the battlefield by whoever is piloting it up on the top here. Now, on the sides, we have a little bit of rifling, not as much as what's on some of our more traditional weaponry, but we still have a little bit of rifling just as little cooling points for our energy system, because we don't want to overheat on things that are electric. That's not a good idea. Days of 10 tech since last injury? 2. And then we have the brother to the Thunderhead, the Mjollnir. So this gun is called Mjollnir after Thor's hammer from Norse mythology. As you can see, it has 2 railguns sticking out the front, a little bit more rifling along the sides here to protect and cool down its energy systems. Again, we have our 2 batteries on the back, and then at the bottom we have our little bit of caution tape to signify that this does rotate around, so be extra careful. At the very front, we have a little barricade section, and this barricade is actually attached to the main part of the body at the bottom. Now, the reason for this is that I always think it's important to once build something, adapt it. It kind of makes it look like things have had to change for a specific reason, and adds a little bit more life to each build that you make. Up next, at number 7, we have the Velocity 713. Now, the Velocity 713 is an anti-air gun system. So as you can see, we have this large central pillar, and this has got a pneumatic, so this part at the top can be raised up and down, and that's signified by our rubber sections and some little pneumatics here. It turns though at the bottom, so it turns here, but goes up and down there, so we kind of have a turning motion here, up and down there, and then at the top, we can sort of position up and down along that axis as well, so we get full range of movement. And then round at the front, we have 3 rifle barrels, large heavy gun barrels, so it can fire forwards and decimate anything that's coming up from the skies, which, you know, is kind of important. And then we have the upgrade to the Velocity 713, the Velocity 720 Scutterer. So the Velocity 720 is much like its slightly older brother. It has this large gunning part at the top here, exactly the same as the 713, but underneath we have, again, our little raising section. This one's lowered down at the moment, but rather than it being grounded to the floor, this one has little scuttering legs, so it can be moved around the battlefield and deployed rapidly. And that is great for a true offensive anti-air weapon. Okay, at number 9, we have the Twin King Shell Cannon. Now, the Twin King Shell Cannon was named by one of my viewers during a stream, so thank you very much for that. We have our large oversized clamshell design and a little window because our gunner sits in there. I'll show you that in one moment. And then we have these 2 large Gatling gun barrels that stick out of the front here. Some rifling for cooling on the top, as well as a little bit of protection from any sort of rainfall that might come down. So we have 8 barrels of doom on the front there. On the side, we have this large turning wheel so it can look up and down. And as you can see, there is no caution tape because unlike other weapons that I've shown you in today's video, this one does not go from side to side. Because instead, it is lowered into place and grounded down here. So we have these nuts that we would get bolted into the ground with. And then round at the back, we have our little access point for our gunner. So you come up here and there we go. You're protected behind these bars, sort of, and can fire away at the enemy at will. And that is the Twin King Shell Cannon. Up next, we have the Voidbreaker. So the Voidbreaker is based off of one of the most classic guns in history, the Magnum revolver. At the back though, we've had to make a little bit of a change up, so we have this large energy tank here, which is storing lots and lots of power for this gun to use. This section here is sort of based off of the cylinder of a revolver. It kind of looks a little bit more like rifling in the end, but I still really like the look of it. We have this little connection system here, so it connects up to our energy system. And then we have our barrel here, and then that goes into this sort of chamfered area, which I imagine would be easily attached to other weapons. And then at the front, we have our main revolver hole here, which would fire oversized bullets, or maybe sort of similar plasma balls to the Redeemer. And then we have our rotary gun that goes around that. But that's not all the firepower that the Voidbreaker has, because underneath we have 2 rifle barrels as well, just for extra go away. Underneath the main part of the gun, again, we have our pneumatic lifting system, so this gun can go up and down. It can obviously tilt up and down as well. And then down here, we have our little caution tape to signify that this rotates around 360 degrees. At the bottom, we have our little locking nuts again, so it can be grounded into the floor or whatever sort of build that you're wanting to put this on. And that is the Voidbreaker. And then finally, we have the Oathkeeper. Now, the Oathkeeper is the literal definition of overkill. So we have our magnum barrels in the center here, surrounded by our rotary plates. Same on this one, and the same on this one. So we have 3 here, so that is 5, 10, 15. But that wasn't quite enough for the Oathkeeper, so we also have these 2 oversized rifle barrels on the top, which go down into this extremely long rifling section. We have a lot of connections down here, like this. And then that whole gun section here is lifted up and down using this wheel here, and then left and right on this section here. As you can see, we have 2 lots of caution tape, so we rotate from this section, but this section here is just a don't stand anywhere near this, it's dangerous, double the caution tape, double the amount of caution. That's just, you know, it's science, it makes sense. Now on the side, you can see we have 2 wheels, and that is because these side guns can move independently, so where this section here gets attached, that can get mag released, so these can move up and fire upwards, whilst the main part of the Oathkeeper fires forwards, or whatever direction it wants to fire in. And that is the Oathkeeper. And that is all of the sci-fi artillery weapons. But you may remember that I said I was going to show you what you could do if you combined my artillery guns with my robots. So this is the Hand of Mercy. Now the Hand of Mercy is a combination of my 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗢𝗥𝗔𝗗 robot, as well as our Oathkeeper and our Hellcats. So we have twin Hellcats at the front, the Oathkeeper at the top, then we have 2 side anti-flank rifle guns, and at the back we have a large working flamethrower that fires fireballs. So that is a working gun. So as you can see, we have our caution tape here, so this is a rotating section, and this is where it rotates on this rubberized part here. And it's also protected from the top to make sure it's safe and secure. And unlike the Oathkeeper, the Hand of Mercy can go on any terrain. Now I'd like to give a huge shout out to one of my viewers and a fellow YouTuber, Humphreys, because this was actually a suggestion that he made whilst I was streaming. You're welcome, Humphreys. I hope this satisfies your sci-fi needs. And that's it! Over 10 sci-fi artillery weapons that you can build to protect your futuristic bases. And if you want to grab these artillery guns specifically, there's a link to a world download over on my Ko-fi page in the description below. As well as that, if you want to see more showcases and tutorials of the sci-fi persuasion, I have an entire playlist which I will put on a card right on the screen, yeah, just about now, on how to make all sorts of sci-fi goodness. Okay everyone, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this showcase, don't forget to drop it a like and consider subscribing, because that will help me out a ton. And I will see you next time. 𝗩𝗔𝗓𝗏 out.